Edward Cabrera, of course, coming back from the IL today after spending 60 days out with a shoulder impingement. He goes 3 2/3 innings. It was scoreless until the final batter that he faced. It was not necessarily smooth sailing even before that, though. A lot of hard contact that he allowed. Only one walk, but kind of a work in progress with Eddie. It's not that he was performing all that well before his injury, but now the rotation is wide open for him. He'll be more closely stretched out as a full starter his next turn through. But Lewis, you were there, so what did you see from Eddie during this outing?
I thought there were moments of me, and times that I had turned to Kevin and I said, if this is the Edward Cabrera they got going forward, it would be something that I was okay with. And what I meant when I said that was I was happy that he was maybe limiting the walks. And granted, it's one start, it's less than 4 innings. It's not a large sample size to go off of. And then the caveat to that is he only threw first pitch strikes to 7 of the 17 guys that he faced, and so that was something that Skip had noted in the post game. But I was encouraged by the fact that his fastball had topped out at 98. He looked like he was throwing the changeup with a little bit more finesse earlier in the outing, and that just could have been maybe not being fully warm, because later in the game, I know he was touching 94, 95 with it, the way he does routinely. But just the fact that he's out there and healthy, and not that he has any trade value right now, but you could make the argument that what they get from him the rest of the way, if they were to want to entertain moving him, this is kind of maybe just an audition for other teams and a means of filling innings in what has been like a disheveled kind of starting rotation. Where I noted in the recap that'll soon be out that the Marlins now have 9 consecutive outings from their starters of guys not finishing 6 innings. I think somebody threw 5 1/3 the other day. I believe it was Kyle Tyler, who I believe now I'm mistaken. So, at least it's a familiar face. Nice to see having Cabrera back, but and encouraged with some of what he was able to do. He got 14 swings and misses in his 3+ innings of work before the slider, the pitch that Skip and others noted was maybe the big issue, because 5 of them were put into play. I think it average exit velocity over 100 miles an hour. One being a Danny Mendick of all people 2-run homer that kind of ended Cabrera's day, but just the fact that he's back out there and pitching after being out for 2 months, and some of the stuff kind of remaining as it was, is encouraging to say the least.
I think pretty clearly he is the most important Marlins pitcher to watch the rest of the season. He is out of minor league options, even if when he is struggling. It's been well documented that Marlins had fielded trade offers for him each of the last 2 off seasons that he's had. And his stuff, we saw today, he's still throwing 98-mile-per-hour fastballs and 94-mile-per-hour changeups. That's still there and still very tantalizing. So with him, even though it's been a familiar pattern of the control just not being good enough, still relatively young for a major leaguer at 26 years old. And the rotation is wide open for him because Ryan Weathers got moved to the 60-day IL today. He's out at least another month. It's inevitable that Luzardo and Braxton Garrett, they're going to be out for at least another month each. None of those guys are even throwing at this point. So Edward is going to be unchallenged for a rotation spot for the near future. I don't think he's going to get traded. He only has 3 more starts left to audition before the deadline. I don't think that's going to be in play here. It's more so about making a decision on what to do with him in 2025 and beyond. And so he has this long runway to be a starter where they just do not have better alternatives to either improve, or you could say just bounce back to what he was in 2022, that season, when he pitched well, when he was healthy. Or it could be, if it goes the other way, this could be the death knell in him as a rotation candidate. It could reach, if it's definitive enough with the way that he struggles down the stretch, you could be looking at a future where he's just a reliever on this team, which would be not necessarily a huge surprise to me, but they've given him so many opportunities already, and he does have plenty of reps between now and the end of the season, health permitting, to perform. But he's that guy that, because of his potential, the variance is pretty extreme. This could be the stretch where he puts it all together in a team that has nothing left to play for, even on a team with nothing left to play for, he really does have almost everything to pitch for the rest of this year because of his own circumstances. How many opportunities that he has squandered, either due to injury or not throwing strikes or some combination of both. So I'm excited to watch Edward the rest of the way.